Hello, I'm Federica Carugati from Stanford University. This is the first of 3 mini lectures on the political economy of ancient Greece. In this video, I discuss some of the evidence for political and economic development in ancient Greece and address some of the challenges to using ancient Greece as a comparative case study, including size, homogeneity, and exclusionary practices. Ancient Greece has long been considered the cradle of Western civilization. Philosophy, drama, and of course democracy were all born there. For centuries, European and North American statesmen looked back to Greece as a model, most notably the American founding fathers, and rejected it as the worst form of mob rule. As democracy spread around the world in the 20th century, however, the tendency was reversed. Greece became a valuable prototype of contemporary values, but as with all prototypes, its uniqueness was effaced. In other words, we began to look at ancient Greece as an early, imperfect replica of ourselves. The approach to ancient Greece that I discussed today rejects this paradigm. Instead, I suggest that we must look at ancient Greece as an empirical case study in its own right. For the first time in recorded human history, the Greeks managed to create large-scale, robust, non-authoritarian governments and remarkable levels of economic and social development. So first of all, what do I mean by ancient Greece? As the work of the Danish historian Mogens Hansen has shown, Greece in the first millennium BCE was a complex ecology of more than 1,000 city-states. The city-states were governed by what Josiah Ober has called citizen-centered governments, that is, a form of collective self-rule that spanned the categories of oligarchia and demokratia, etymologically the rule of the few and the rule of the many. In other words, the Greeks rejected the form of government that, according to Ian Morris, was popular pretty much everywhere else in the world, that is, rule by one man, often a godlike king. Beginning towards the end of the 9th century, the Greek world got much bigger and much richer. The population may have increased tenfold over the half millennium between 800 and 300 BCE. Aggregate consumption also increased 15 to 20-fold, placing Greece on a par with the highest performing early industrial European city-states like Holland. The numbers thus suggest that Greece broke the Malthusian ceilings to experience what sociologist Jack Goldstein has called an efflorescence, that is a period of concomitant demographic and economic growth. But the data suggests something even more striking, an increase in human well-being above and beyond purely economic indicators. For Mogens Hansen, urbanization levels were strikingly high compared to other successful pre-modern societies. For Ian Morris, average age of death increased dramatically over the course of the first millennium BCE. Data from Athens also reveal high-quality diet, high real wages, and low income inequality. The data shows that in the Greek world, citizens did not just survive, but flourished. So the Greeks did well. But what can we really learn about political and economic development from small homogeneous slave societies? So I will begin with the problem size. Anyone familiar with theories of cooperation knows that cooperation is easier in small groups. In fact, this is a key insight of Munker-Olson's 1965 logic of collective action. Unless the number of individuals is quite small, individuals will not act in their common interest if there is no coercive power or some other special device. But how small is a small group? Elinor Ostrom's case studies included groups that numbered in the thousands, requiring complex institutional arrangements. The Greek city-states, and particularly the largest of them, like Athens, feature the participations of tens of thousands of people. Of course, Athens was not as big as modern nation-states. With a population of about 250,000 people and a territory of about 2,500 square kilometers, Athens was a bit less populous than the Pacific island of Vanuatu and a bit smaller than the European state of Luxembourg. But Athens, like many other city-states, was far too large to fit the model of a face-to-face society, that is, a society where individuals know one another intimately and interact frequently and closely. Moreover, the Greeks had no means or technology to communicate at a distance. Therefore, in the Greek city-states, as in modern countries, social cooperation required formal institutional structures to bridge the distance, geographic as well as epistemic, among actors. Second, for modern standards, Greece was extremely homogeneous in terms of language, culture, and religion. Since the end of World War II, the political economy of development has identified ethnicity and religion among the primary drivers of civil conflict and instability. But the fact that the Greeks were homogeneous in these respects does not mean that the sources of conflict were absent. For example, in Athens, as elsewhere in Greece, other cleavages, such as socioeconomic inequality and differing views of how best to govern a society, were primary drivers of unrest and civil war. Third, I must address the issue of slavery. In 1959, the ancient historian Moses Finley asked if Greek civilization was based on slave labor, and found that it was. This answer was also part of Finley's influential but now outdated theory of the Greek economy as radically embedded in social structures that thwarted innovation, investment, entrepreneurship, and ultimately growth. Because one important part of Finley's argument, that is economic stagnation, has been refuted, other components stand on shakier ground. The question of whether the Greek economy relied on exploitative practices, and to what extent it did, awaits a new theory of ancient slavery that is compatible with the findings of sustained growth.